I'll hit you for the intro. No! Oh, that happens like all the time. All the time. I feel your pain, Matt. I feel
Welcome
your pain.
to Mornings with Matt, personal and professional development training that connects the art of acting with critical life skills and self-mastery. Presented by the Deering Acting Studio.
Alrighty, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Mornings with Matt. I'm going to get right to it because we've got another Matt on the show, Mr. Matt Englehart. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning, guys.
How is life, my friend? You are running an acting agency in the middle of a pandemic. Congratulations.
Yes. Yeah, it is. It's challenging, to say the least.
Yeah. And I know, like we've talked about a bit on the show, but the entertainment industry in general pretty much shut down for a couple months.
Yeah, so for sure. All the way around the board.
Yeah.
Commercials up to feature film, TV, the whole thing.
Definitely. So when something like this happens, it's the weirdest thing. It's not. I mean, it's strange because it's the first time this has ever happened in any of our lifetimes. But it's not like we haven't had like big catastrophic events happen in our world before. And I tend to see that the stronger companies are finding ways to be innovative and whatnot. And I did notice that Ford was finding a way to do that.
We try to continue to engage, out internally and externally as much as possible with Cheris Podcast or, again, videos that we do, all our social media, those types of things that we find important to just stay relevant. So people don't forget, like, hey, what's going on with those guys? I hadn't seen them at all. I mean,
right.
I'm not a big social media person. You might see that already. I try to post as much as possible. I probably should post some more, but as far as the company goes, there's a mandate to continue to stay relevant and continue to make sure that people know we're still out there.
I was gonna say I like Matt's social page. I think it's pretty cool for an agent to have a social page. I like the little alien emoji. I feel like you got it going over there.
The little touches that add up, right?
And so you were did Cherie already have a podcast, or did she start one?
It was a passion project she had for a while, and she started probably in the middle. I want to say, I could be wrong here. I want to say like May, could be June.
Okay.
Something that she thought she listens to podcasts, and there are some that are on the industry, but not from her perspective.
Sure.
She thought that was kind of lacking. There's maybe one other competitor that's a little bit different, and she just thought it could add value for us, get our name out there, as well as help people with a lot of the common information that they need, because we get a lot of the same questions, as I'm sure you do, with training of how it works and what are we looking for and all that jazz. So
is that something that then she took like maybe next level when the pandemic hit, because it's all of a sudden you have this time on your hands? I feel like that's a part of what everybody felt like.
That's a huge part of it, and that was it. Exactly. We had the time to kind of develop it as much as possible. Something that she and Adam in our office are sort of working on together, and obviously I've been on it as well. But yeah, she sort of went into overdrive and thought, hey, I've got the opportunity. We need to continue to engage people, so this is like the perfect time to do it, which I think a lot of people are doing, starting YouTube channels or podcasts and all that type of stuff, which I'm all for, to be honest, but this is the time to do it.
As a matter of fact, so I'm going to put you on the spot here really quick. How do we find Cheris Podcast if we want to send people there?
It's On Camera with Cherie Hartwell, and I think it's on all the platforms. It's on iTunes, it's on, I think it's on Android as well, or on iOS, so it's all there.
Okay. So, all right. On Camera with Cherie Hartwell.
Hartwell, yeah, it's all spelled out.
Okay, perfect. Matt, so I was playing around with your signature on your email, and it said that you're doing InHouse Production, and there was a little demo there. I saw a couple of our students on there. It was really well done. What can you tell me about that?
Sure. That was something that, again, we've got a very small studio space at the back of our office, just like a white cyc and some lights and whatnot. So it's not a big space, but, again, anything that we can do that can add value to, anyone's production, that's sort of where that was born. And yeah, the promo video obviously was just to show what the capabilities are. I mean, we're not a full-blown studio at all, but if you had a small e-com project or you need to do digitals or some type of testing, that's what it's there for. So yeah, and we had a photographer and a videographer come in who were friends of ours that said, hey, we'll do that promo piece for you, it'd be fun. And that's what, that was the product.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we love to see any great company like yours, like the Ford Robert Black, that is thriving, honestly, because here's the deal. Whether you're making a ton of money or not doesn't matter. I feel like the people who are pushing forward, finding a way to continue to provide value in good times and in bad times, those are the companies that are going to survive and eventually like really do well post-pandemic. And you guys are an example of that, I think.
For sure.
God, I hope so. Yeah. People ask, they kind of ask that question, how are you guys doing? How are you guys doing? And I'm like, we're good.
Yeah.
If this goes on for another year, that might be another story. But,
right.
Talking to friends that are in the West Coast, and East Coast, tons of agencies have been closing. Agents have been furloughed. CAA just let off 275 employees. I think it was a week or two ago.
That's crazy.
Big, but they have offices all over the world, so it's probably not as big as it sounds, but still a big cut.
Yeah, and it feels like places are cleaning house. They're getting themselves to a place where they really got to figure out how to be lean and how to really be efficient. Right now. And but the castings, we're seeing the castings come back. So I haven't told you this yet, but we have one today, and we just did one last week, and then we got two more in the pipeline. So I think there's a turn coming back where people are figuring out, or businesses are figuring out, hey, we gotta figure out how to survive through this, and actually keep promoting. So hopefully we see the turn.
Yeah, everybody wants to work in front and behind the cameras. So, what I'm seeing, what you're probably seeing too, is COVID is still obviously a very big, hot issue at the moment. So everyone's creating their waivers and taking temperatures. There's all these protocols in place for most productions, which is great. It makes the talent. I've got a lot of talent that are like, I just want to work. I just want to work. That's it. I don't want to, catch COVID, but they're willing to kind of gamble on it. But the productions themselves are being really, really careful about things, the way things go down. And I've never had an actor complain. I have had actors back out, not at the last minute, but just say, hey, because I've got parents or, again, grandparents that are, have pre-existing conditions and whatnot. They're like, I don't want to do it. I want to pass. And then there are other people that are like, no, just whatever you got, I'm willing to check it out. But everyone's being very, very cautious, which is great. And they should be, because it's still booming, still a pandemic. There's a lot of horrible things still going on.
Absolutely. How has your health been, Matt? I'm curious. I'm asking all these personal questions, but how's your has your health been good since COVID started?
Yeah, what's weird is I'm one of those people that if I think, this is probably true of most people, if somebody comes into me and says, hey, I'm really, really sick, which they don't do anymore, but let's just say,
no one admits they're sick.
Right, yeah. I'm great. I'm really awesome. I'm feeling good.
I think most people are afraid to cough nowadays, because if you cough, you're like, what? You got the COVID.
Coughing, sneezing. I have horrible allergies, so I'm always battling that. But to answer your question, it's no, I'm good. I've been really careful, trying to take care of myself, again, working out. I've got my resistance band workout that I do at home. So, I think for the most part, I've had tons of people. I have a coworker that, his mother passed with COVID. So it's real, right? But but as far as I'm concerned, health wise, again, it's an ongoing thing. It's not only just keeping your mind busy and also your body fit, and try to do my part for myself, that is. So.
Yeah, sure. And I think that's a big deal for you to mention that your coworker, and I'm very sorry to hear that. We have friends too who have had family members who have passed, and so it's it's crazy how it's now gotten to a place where I believe probably everyone knows someone who knows someone who's then been majorly affected by this. So so that's a big deal. Yeah,
for sure. For sure.
Having said that, though, what I found interesting and kind of a positive, if you want to take any kind of positive away from this, personally, I've been not more healthy than I've been my whole life, probably, without getting any kind of minor cold or anything. And I think it's because of wearing the mask all the time and separating yourself from other people. it actually is having a positive impact, I think, also, as far as like, if I look at this and I go, we've had the flu for forever, and for some reason we were not like trying harder to not spread it, during flu season. So like that, this could be a good thing long term if we all kind of figure out, hey, when I'm sick, I either stay home or I wear a mask. Like any kind of sickness, it kind of just makes sense,
For sure. Yeah, we in our office we have that policy. Like, if you're sick, we're not going to judge you. Just go home. Go home and get better, instead of coming in and saying, oh, I'm okay, I'm fine, I need to work and I want to work, and then infect everybody in the office. We'd much rather have you just say, hey, I'm sick, go home and get better and come back. I'm okay with that. And even now, obviously, more importantly, but even back in the day, that's always been kind of a policy for us. Yeah,
that's great. All right, cool. So let's move forward here a little bit. Let's talk about the industry, and what are you seeing right now? So I know we talked about some of your early moves, which I think were good strategic moves as a company, but are you seeing kind of a turn for the positive as well?
Yeah, I think when we opened up early in June, there was a spike. There was definitely stuff going on. There were a lot of calls from not only local casting directors, but out-of-towners as well. So, and then when, we kind of reverted, it didn't die. I mean, there's still stuff going on. And now, I mean, again, obviously I know you've got projects, but there are still things, there are people that are booking that are longtime clients that are just going ahead and checking avails on people for, it's mostly industrial types of stuff, training videos, whatnot. But yeah, so I'm hoping the tide will turn a little bit. I've had some clients that have been trying to shoot for the last 2 or 3 months, and they keep pushing back because of COVID, or, again, there's a spike or whatever happens. So I'm hoping it's going to bounce back, but, and again, it's never completely died. I'm not sitting there, twiddling my thumbs, but sure, it's not, as busy as it was. We're probably at about, I don't know, I'd say 30 to 40% capacity. I would say, probably roughly. So it could be better, but it could be a lot worse too.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'd say, we're probably about the same when it comes to the casting side of what we're doing over here. But we've, like I said, we've seen just a spike here in the last couple of weeks. So hopefully there's a positive turn coming. What do you think? What do you see for the future of acting? Like, what this means for the future actor, and how we need to look at things differently from an agent perspective?
Sure. I mean, first and foremost, I mean, part of it is if COVID continues, it is the casting process. I mean, again, there are some people or some companies that are doing in person, which again, my people are fine with, but a lot of people, and obviously the out-of-state people are completely different because they prefer the self-tape because they're not coming in to do a casting for 5 people or whatever it may be. So, but I think that's been mostly the impact for me, is about self-taping and being able to deliver all of those videos, and again, digitals and all those types of things. And more importantly, not for me, but it's more for the talent. Because again, I've got a lot of elderly talent as well, and they're very, very not tech savvy. So really challenging for them. What's mostly challenging more than anything is for self-taping for an indie film or any type of feature film that could be, is I've got a lot of people that, don't have somebody to read opposite, which is tough. Now, there are services coming out that are trying to do that. And again, I know you guys do self-tapes for your students and probably outsiders as well, as well as some of the other acting studios, which is great. But, in a pinch, if it's 10 o'clock at night and they need the tape tomorrow, and let's say, this person's not married or has kids or whatever, it becomes really challenging, which I wouldn't think. It's because and I know it's not about the other person, the reader per se, but if you have somebody who's reading they're whatever, they're made out of wood. Yeah, that does make it hard to give a good audition. But I think that's been the biggest impact. And again, those types of big projects where you have 1,000 people on set, I think those days are gone, personally, at the moment, just because of again, having all those bodies on set, and the possibility of getting COVID obviously skyrockets at that point. So that's the other side of it. It's gonna be smaller productions, more quality, or if you're doing big productions, it's probably gonna take longer, I would think. I mean, again, or you lean down your crew and you do it that way, do it more guerrilla style, which I think you're gonna see a lot more of too. So.
Awesome. I like that perspective, and I agree with it. And to that point, when there's going to be less of the big projects, meaning there's probably going to be less of the the smaller roles available, and sort of every part is going to be really impactful. So right now, my message to people is find ways to get better. Find ways for you to improve your own skill set as an actor and as an innovator personally. So, actors, like you said, they really now need more than ever to understand how to do a self-tape really efficiently, how to look good on their own camera. Like you've got a nice, well thought out angle right here, right? You got a little flower behind you, and like you're telling us this. That's great. It's beautiful. So you're telling us a story, right? I mean, and I know it was purposeful. And I mean, we're the same way over here. Like we've put thought into like our little square. And the truth is, this is what I teach to sales people right now, because we're doing like some Zoom training and different things like that, is your square tells a story about you. Like for you, for instance, like I know you're really old because you've got a DVD collection behind you.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I love movies if you haven't figured it out. What's funny is I still find myself buying things on iTunes, even though I have it on DVD.
Right. Yeah, I know.
That lazy thing, like, I don't want to open the case and throw out my DVD. It's really, really ridiculous. But yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll probably hold on to these forever.
Yeah, that's great. No, I love it. That's awesome. You guys remember the old DVD bookshelves?
Oh yeah, 100%.
My little sister, you gotta know Kimmy, she was like a huge DVD collector. She probably had like 3 times that much, and her whole apartment was full. And now it's like, well, that's irrelevant.
Don't need that. Yeah.
So
if I were to sell these, I probably wouldn't get a whole lot, but that's okay. I think visually, I enjoy it. Yeah.
The other thing right now that's happening, and you mentioned this already too, it's a good thing, is this is an opportunity for us to produce, for them to find a way to be creative and keep themselves active. And this is something I've preached from day one. I've always told people you need to produce your own stuff. I really firmly believe that. I've been saying that for 10 years because I ran into it as an actor myself, and it was this idea of I'm always waiting for somebody else to tell me I'm good enough if I'm like constantly auditioning. But if I cast myself, they're not going to say no. And so to produce something, and even if it's not great, you don't have to put it out necessarily, but you're in the process of making stuff instead of just sitting by the phone, waiting for the next audition, waiting for your agent to call.
And you've been saying it for a while. You definitely said it in the book. I mean, it's been a little bit. I don't know if you know where the button is, but if there's a button,
it does have a
that shameless plug deal.
Oh, sure. Here you go. You want the sound effect?
Yeah,
it's time now for Brian Sweeney's Shameless Plugs.
Shameless plugs. See how fun that is, Matt? So yeah, in the book, acting is my day job, which you can get on Amazon and pretty much everywhere on Earth. There's actually a chapter. It's literally called Be a Producer. And so I just wanted to read what is the first thing right there. I love it. It says, if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door.
Yeah.
I love that. And right now, that is the case. So build doors, create content, do the thing about doing. This is the time.
And even some, you don't have to go all crazy with it either. So if I'm talking to people here online, what I'm trying to tell you is, find a way to produce your art, because remember why you're doing this in the first place. And that's because you have a love for this. You have a passion for maybe making other people laugh or connecting or helping brands or whatever. So it doesn't need to be this big scary thing where you have like the perfect setup. Our Shay, who works with us, she sent me a TikTok yesterday that I thought was so funny. It was just her. It was her doing like. She came up with this idea to because she was trying to get a hold of me and she couldn't get a hold of me. So she's like, my 17 faces when I'm trying to get a hold of my boss. And it just like flashed from face to face to face, and it showed her range as an actress, really. Yeah. But it was so funny. And I'm like, that's the kind of thing, like even something little like that is you finding a way to be creative and to use your talents and to keep putting things out there. Because what I'm mostly afraid of is everybody, if there's people out there just stopping completely, you know, who are just putting their heads down. And it's like, I totally understand and I agree with, be safe, stay at home if that's what you need to do 100%. But even from within that space, find a way to produce, find a way to take yourself next level always.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What's your take on that, Matt, on being a producer as an actor?
No, absolutely. I mean, again, not only does it teach you the skills about what other people are doing on set, so you have an appreciation for it, but like you said, I mean, there have been, throughout the test of time, actors that have been really down on the studio system, or how do I get to that next level, what have you. And that is the way to do it, is to create your own stuff. If you don't like what's being done, or you don't like the way, whatever people are being cast, or whatever it may be, like you said, create your own content, create your own, control your own destiny in a way. And like you said, even if it's not the best, because that's the other thing, people get paralyzed by perfectionism and like, oh, I can't put it out if it's not going to look good. And some of those goofy moments are the things that go viral. And not that that's like your goal, but if it does, again, that could have been something like, oh, I did that in 2 seconds, like a TikTok, and now everybody's watching it. Again, that might not be the goal. Like you said, it could just be for personal pleasure. But I think it's really important for people to stay creative. And time again, I think time has told us that the simple things, you have those moments in time where you watch something or you see something online, you're like, why didn't I think of that? Or you hear a podcast and, well, that's brilliant. Or all these podcasts now about these old shows, and you've got these, stars from the show talking about their show in the past. I mean, I'll be upfront, I haven't listened to a lot of those, but it seems to be a big trend. And again, it's one of those things where it's so simple, but you're still engaging your people. You're still maybe adding value of those behind the scenes moments that you didn't get to see in your favorite episode of The Office or whatever it may be. And again, it's just creativity kind of like finds a way. And that's how, again, we continue to evolve and change things, and through our art and, our own thoughts and our own perspective on whatnot. And even if you're doing something, the same thing, like on a YouTube channel, it could be the same topic that everyone else is like, oh, I'm an actor and I'm going to show you what I do, how I do things. But what makes it different is you're doing it. Right. Your own perspective, that's the difference. But people go, well, I can't do a cooking show because there's 8 million cooking shows on YouTube or on, planet Earth. That's true. But your own perspective, your own take, your own personality, your own spin on that topic or topics is what's going to separate you from other people, even if it's the same information. So you shouldn't let that paralyze yourself, is I guess what I'm saying. So.
Yeah. And the people who do it really well are the ones who do it consistently also, Absolutely. So it doesn't have to be every day, but you set like a day or even just a day a month or whatever, and you're consistent to that day, and eventually people hop on because they're like, oh, this show's on today, and I love it when that actor does this thing. And that's one of my favorite parts too, is seeing people get more and more consistent with what they put up and when they put it up and all that.
Yeah, no, that's totally huge. I mean, that's the only way to really continue to engage your audience is to be consistent, for sure. That's key.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, Matt. So we are acting coaches over here, as you know. We have a casting division, and also a big part of what we do is we connect personal development with acting. So we help people a lot with their head game. So let me ask you at this point, do you have any questions for us in any of those areas? Is there anything we can help you with, or any answers to questions that you might have right now?
Well, I mean, for me, it was like, how are you approaching, training with the actors these days, knowing what the present is and what the future can look like? I mean, are you changing or skewing? I mean, obviously, a lot of you are probably big in-class classes or people. Is that still going on, in person rather, training, or is it more online based? Or
so we were ahead of the trend on this. We were already looking to go virtual a couple of years prior, and we were just playing with the technology, and I hadn't pulled the trigger yet because it was so new that I just didn't know exactly what that was going to look like. But as soon as this hit, I just went, boom, here we go. So we went fully virtual for about 2 months, and then what we've done is we've just been ahead. We've been listening to the street a little bit. My dad's a doc, so I kind of just get like the information. I try to avoid the news as much as I can. So I try to see like, hey, like where are we safe? Like what is the current protocol? And so we shut down like I think it was like 48 hours before the governor said we had to, and then we were prepped to open. So we've now been reopened and just under extreme caution. So there's a big sign outside the door says you have to wear a mask when you come in. We've since day one been sanitizing our hands. Every person that walks in the door, you have to sanitize before you even come in the building. So so at least we're not bringing your car germs into the space, and you're wearing a mask. And then, you know, we just increased our cleaning protocols and our hygiene protocols as far as around the studio, and making sure that everything's always pristine and very clean. But basically, you know, the way we're approaching this is just, I guess, like everybody else, it's really a day at a time. So we do have in-person classes. They are open and they are full, actually. So we just lowered the number that we would allow in studio. And then everybody else, like, we say, hey, sorry, that's full. You'll have to train online for now until a spot opens up. And so so we've got that going. And so then when you hit the stage, you'll have the 6 feet apart. You can take your mask off in order to do your actual performance. And then, you know, and that's by choice. So you can leave it on if you want to. And really a lot of this boils down to, I think, people's like their own individual circumstances too. Because like you said, if someone has an elderly, you know, grandparent at home or something like that, they just choose, like they'd rather be virtual. So now we have this this sort of space and holistic approach where we can reach both sides and just say, hey, we respect where you come from, and we have an option for both sides.
That's great. That's great, having that option. I mean, in some cases, for some companies, I can assume that would be kind of costly. Again, because as you know and I know, not everybody can frame a picture or light a scene or use a camera or even know how to live stream or any of those things. So it's great that you've already taken the reins in advance of knowing that this was a possibility, and being able to, you know, capitalize on it, obviously, you know, immediately. And then having that hybrid kind of thing where, hey, if I'm an actor and I want to do something one-on-one, or I want to do something in a group, I still have the option to go to the studio in person or do it virtually. Having those options is a, you know, I think is probably a blessing for a lot of actors.
Yeah, 100%. As a matter of fact, Joey and I, we have been through so much technology. Like him and I have pulled out every cord we've ever owned ever, and, you know, bought a bunch of rando stuff. And what's really cool, and we haven't gotten a chance to use it yet, but I can't wait. We invented sort of this new technology for virtual casting, and we can't wait to use it. But it was so funny, like we have this drawn up on a whiteboard, like, okay, well, if this computer's attached to this, and then that goes here, and then here's how the video could go in, and it would still record, and then all of a sudden it was like the projector. Somehow we ran a cord through the projector, and then it worked. We're like, what? Like, this is crazy. So basically, you know, because we looked at it and we said, you know, obviously, the casting director in general, like, has been. The question is, like, how long is this going to last for forever? You know, because with people doing self tapes and whatnot, and we had the realization of, like, what is it that we really bring to the table? You know, and we came down to, number one, the direction. You know, it's a big deal to get really good direction from somebody, and to be able to organize a big group of people and kind of narrow things down for somebody. But to have somebody who makes the actors feel comfortable, puts them in a position where they can succeed, and, you know, just does that initial, like, launch, is something that's really great. Because I think if we all just did, like, huge cattle calls where everyone submitted their tapes, production companies would be buried. So there's a definite need for what we do, and that's first thing. And then second thing, what's interesting is if you are doing a self tape, you technically get as many takes as you want,
right,
to send in the take, right? But you come into us and you're going to get one, maybe two takes, basically. So that's a nice thing for the director to see, is like, this is what the actor looks like under pressure when they had to go. Like, this was it, you know? And so that gives them a really great idea of the type of actor that they're bringing onto their set. So I don't think our business is going anywhere, but we're ready to innovate in that area too. We did that first casting, and it's so strange to do anything these days and have masks on all the time, you know, like it's different, but and this was hard. So we ended up, because we're usually on time. I like to be known for being, like, the only casting director that can be on time, and we were still, like, an hour late that day, which was rare for us. But it was like we created a new system where we would text message the actors, so that it was sort of like drive-through pickup for food.
Yeah, sure.
And so they'd come, they'd stay in their cars. We'd only bring in like 3 or 4 at a time. And, so we're just finding ways to innovate. But I think that the whole idea of casting in general, like it's going to be around, but we still all of us have to continue innovating in every area of our businesses. And if we keep doing that, though, we're going to open up more opportunities for everybody. And that's the goal.
No, absolutely. I mean, again, having those, having different protocols in place, having different options. I mean, again, where there's a will, there's a way. So I think it's great that you guys are continuing to innovate, not just resting back and saying, oh, this is just the way it is. And, continuing to hold on to, an old structure that may or may not still serve the business. So in these days, because of virtual casting, some of these big projects that are on either coastline, now a lot of actors have the opportunities to at least submit. And I know, and depending upon what the project is, sometimes self-tapes are the last option. They're going to look at the live casting first, and then if they don't find what they want, they might look at the self-tapes. However, on the flip side of that, if it's all self-tapes, that's all they're going to look at. But
right.
I'm sure there's going to be like, I'm going to look at agency A and B, and C only if I need to, if I can't find it. But having all that technology and knowing how it works and being able to apply it to your business to help actors get more jobs, I mean, I think that's a win-win for everybody, right?
100%. Yeah. All right, cool. So before we wrap up here for the day, you got any more questions throw our way?
I mean, a lot of the stuff, to be honest, I had the questionnaire, filled that out, and a lot of things I think we kind of covered. I mean, it was, we talked about actors being more than just actors, being able to produce their own content or, do their own self-tapes. We talked about, the future of acting in a sense. The biggest thing, well, this is the other thing. I mean, I think we've kind of covered this too, but it was kind of like, what do you think the impact of the virus will be short-term and long-term? It seems like a lot of stuff is going to, not only on the acting side, but on the producing side of projects, is going to all of the major streamers now. Again, it's kind of like, is the feature film or is the movie theater a dead proposition these days? I mean, obviously they're still going to go on, but I think that was kind of one of my questions. What your thought was, what do you really think the impact is going to be beyond the innovation and things we've talked about? But do you think it's going to change the form of entertainment, the actual project itself, now and into the future, which I think is going to be, the answer is going to be yes, but in what ways?
Yeah, definitely. And I think so. So, one of the things we jumped into right away, and I started preaching this because as I started having to teach in a certain way that I never taught before, I had an epiphany one night in the middle of class, and I said, okay, we're no longer going to be teaching you the best we can acting through this medium. We are now going to teach you acting in this medium. In other words, meaning I'm now going to talk to you about the idea of you are now, as an actor, your own producer, you're your own cinematographer. Like you have all the power. You're the editor, and I was like, there are limitations to not being in person, but there are a lot of expansive opportunities to being over video. So and you would know this, but you put the camera low at a certain angle, and you can be like a hero. You change the light slightly, and you give yourself a little bad guy edge. You either move or don't move, and that says something to the audience. And so learning how to use your device really to impact an audience and then to tell a story. Because at the end of the day, as actors, that's what we're trying to do, is tell stories. So, so 100%, like, this has happened, and I said this from day one. Like, as I saw the Zoom here, and I saw all the squares, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting how this is turning out. And I was like, all right, everybody, I just want to tell you right now, I'm telling you the future. There will be commercials of people in squares. Like, that's going to happen. So you need to get good at acting in the square. And now we're seeing those commercials, like, they're everywhere. So that's the short-term effect is now people are having to deal with that, and they're now acting in that area. Long-term, I have no idea, and I hope movie theaters are not done. I hope football stadiums are not done, like, forever,
Please.
Yeah. and I don't think they are, I really don't. I think this whole thing's going to pass. And we're all going to be stronger for it. And we're going to be, you know, mentally aware and hopefully, you know, more respectful and loving of one another. Just knowing that, hey, life is so fragile, and a lot of this is not in our control. You know, there's a God out there that runs everything, and truthfully, we are just a speck. And so to remember that, to remember our place, to take time to appreciate the sunset and the sunrise, and to appreciate one another, you know, just loving each other. Like, hopefully that's the big takeaway that we get from this. And then just like, there are things that probably most of us can't stand. Like, I don't love wearing a mask everywhere I go. I don't love having to put a mask on my kids everywhere I go. You know, there's little things that I'm like, I do it and I'm happy to do it. But at the same time, I'll be happy if that goes away, you know. But there are other things where companies have innovated and people are communicating in different ways that I'm like, hey, this is really positive, you know? I mean, I know Brian and Joey, they started a tradition. They call our grandmother every single night, never miss, and they sing her a song. And like things like that, like ways that we have advanced ourselves in the way that we love each other and care for each other. That's the kind of thing that I'm hoping like stands the test of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The other thing I can add to that is to also, you know, in this year is an indicator as well. We were just talking the other day in the office about how, you know, it's August already. You know, I mean, I guess the point is that time flies. It literally moves so quickly. Even in stuff like this, that's not the, you know, optimal, not the greatest time for anyone. But like you said, where there's a will, there's a way, and trying to stay connected. There's still possibilities, even with technology. I mean, again, even with a simple FaceTime, a Zoom call, you know, what have you, those, they have value to be able to connect with somebody else. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think I'm with you on that. I mean, if we can all sort of get along, I mean, it's one of those kind of cliche things to say, but it's true. And, you know, with the impending election coming up too, I don't know, it's strange times. So again, you have to consider to, again, love yourself, love others as well as consider the idea that time is moving so quickly, and before you know it, you know, you're like, it's past in a way. And that can be a good thing or a bad thing. It depends on the way you look at it. But I guess my point of that is just, you know, sort of seize the moment. And as cheesy as it sounds to say, like, you know, live every day like it's your last, I think there's a lot of value there. It's true. I mean, if you can actually do it, but people don't think that way. And I understand why. We like to make appointments and think, hey, I'm going to be here next month for my dental appointment or a dinner or whatever it may be. And we're not guaranteed that. So, I mean, truly, sadly, I mean, I don't dwell on that idea, but it's a complete fact. So
100%.
Living the moment and taking advantage of things and telling people how you feel about them, learning about them, whatever, there is a lot of value there for, you know, again, for everyone involved, I think.
Yeah, one of the actors, I hold on to what he says, and I try to implement that in my life, the idea of being grateful. Denzel Washington says, you know, when you wake up, I hope you wake up with your slippers under your bed, so you have to get down on your knees before you begin your day. In other words, being grateful to God is his point, but being grateful for the day, like really not taking it for granted. So like today is a day that each of us have to maximize, and it doesn't mean it's you're not a success if you landed a big acting job or got a big paycheck, but your success is like, did you go home at night and you look back on your day and it's like, I really crushed today. Like today, I gave my all in every area, whether that be at home with family or that be at the workplace or that be, you know, like whatever it is, even fun time. Like you can give your all in fun time, or you can kind of be like a slug, you know? So,
sure.
So no matter what you're doing, are you giving everything you have? And ideally that's where we want to live every single day. Like you said, as if it's our last, is a really, really good mantra, I think, to have. Yeah.
I mean, it's all about making great choices. You know, at the end of the day, even small ones, you know, can make a big difference. It's you know, that small ripple can make a huge difference in your own life and somebody else's. But you're right. I mean, I think a lot of people don't necessarily think about being grateful or considering what they have. They're always looking at what they don't have. You know, I can be a victim of that as well. But realizing that, you know, even having the opportunity to make that realization, there's value there, that you have the opportunity and choice to do what you want to do with your time, either to be productive and creative or follow your dreams, you know, reach your goals, or you can just sit back and say, oh, this, you know, it's horrible time. It's a pandemic. I can't do anything. I'm shut into my home. I can't see any of my friends. You know, my life has been impacted in ways that I've never even considered. And that's still, it's a possibility that it might continue. So how do I deal with that? So, you know, again, it all comes down to your own mental health and how you make your own choices about what you want to do with your time and who you want to spend your time with.
100%, Matt. And if you ever personally not feeling wealthy, just turn around, look at that DVD collection, and you will realize that
wealthy man.
You got all the stories in the world.
It will be valuable. There won't be any left on the earth. It'll be like,
yeah, there's no DVD players to play them on, so yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna hold on to that too.
It's like the old Nintendo. It's like, oh man, I wish I didn't get rid of that.
Yeah, all those things.
Yeah.
There's always the next generation, but nowadays those types of things, those retro types of things, are huge. I just saw a little article online about there's still a Blockbuster in existence.
Yeah, one. I think it was there's one out in California.
Yeah, no, it's Bend, Oregon.
Actually. Oh, Oregon. Okay.
But anyway, yeah, there's one left, and I guess they're inviting, you know, the local or anybody, I mean, locally as well as people, if they want to fly in, to rent the Blockbuster for like Airbnb. So you can rent the store and stay there, watch movies, play games, whatever, which I thought was really interesting. But all that type of nostalgic throwback stuff is obviously so popular, you know, the 80s and the 90s. And I'm like, that's not that long ago, but it really is when I look back on it.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that brings it like right into the question sort of you had about predicting change and where things are going to go. Like, relinquish control, who knows? Like, look at that DVD collection.
Well, you got to be and you got to be open to change, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is it's scary, I get it, you know, and you can mourn the present for 1 second, but then you have to be open and be willing to try, you know. So like I know, like, hey, Zoom might be harder for some people. Like, you got to try to get better at it.
Yeah.
And you know, speaking of Blockbuster, I don't want to dwell on them necessarily, but Netflix tried to sell to Blockbuster. So and Blockbuster passed. Like they weren't able to see that this was a great opportunity for them. So so just understanding that the future is always now, and you got to be looking at not just like getting comfortable with where you are, but looking for ways to become uncomfortable on purpose, to push yourself again, to just get better and to innovate and to find new ways of doing things. You know, pandemic or not, we should always be looking for ways to get better on a daily basis. So, hey, Matt, I'm so happy that you came on the show, man. You're awesome. You look great, dude. You're fit. I'm so happy with where you're at. And yeah, thank you. We're very, very grateful for the Ford Robert Black agency and everything that you guys do here.
I appreciate it. We are grateful for you guys as well.
All right. Thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for watching today's show. This has been Mornings with Matt. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel. Help us spread this light-driven content to the planet. Thank you, and God bless.
Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. For more information on classes, private lessons, or professional development coaching, visit www.deeringstudio.com. Have a Deering day, everyone.